My boyfriend Andrew and I have been dating for 2 years. One of the main problems I have with him is that he's attached, to an obsessive degree, if I'm being honest, to his best friend Eddie. I'd even describe their friendship as Eddie being completely dependent on Andrew like a needy child would be. This is a problem because Eddie and I don't get along. He's always been hostile to me since the day we met for no reason. And I'm not the type of person who takes nonsense from anyone. So of course, I'm equally hostile back. I'm also certain that Eddie is in love with Andrew. He can never keep a relationship for long, but anyone he dates is a carbon copy of Andrew in terms of looks. He's also constantly touching Andrew whenever they're together, often displacing me from my seat next to him so he can sit there. To me, it's impolite to be so obvious about your feelings for a taken man, but I guess Andrew is willfully oblivious. Anyways, after a hard few weeks of work, I finally got a break and wanted to relax at home. But no, Andrew wanted to take me out, to the beach specifically, in order to celebrate. I dislike the beach, yet he still took me. So already I was a bit annoyed. But then it got worse when he told me that he had to keep his phone on, because Eddie was meeting up with some guy he met online, and Andrew was worried the guy was bad news. I was shocked. Eddie's a grown man. He can take care of himself. But I told myself I'd be reasonable. That was a big mistake, because sure enough, 2 hours in, guess who calls? None other than Eddie, begging Andrew to come and get him because he's scared for his safety. I saw red. Somehow a grown adult can't get home by himself and has to wait for my boyfriend to come get him, despite said boyfriend being 30 minutes away. He could have called an Uber or asked the staff at the bar for help, but instead he decided to ruin our date. I expressed my frustration to my boyfriend, but he didn't care and dropped everything to go to him, leaving me stranded with no ride at a beach I didn't want to be at. He all but ran to the car and left. All the while I was furious at him. He didn't let me go because he didn't want to stress Eddie out more since he knows we don't like each other. I've decided to block him, and he can make a grand gesture to win me back, or I'm done. Still, I'm not sure what to do, even if he does take me back. How can I know he won't do this again? At the same time, besides his strange friendship with Eddie, he's basically the perfect boyfriend. Irrelevant comment. You already got the answers you need from other posts. You just don't like them, because they all tell you to break up. Just proudy. Yeah, I realize I wasn't clear when making this post. I've read most comments and slept on it, and I agree with you all. I just wanted to find a way to keep my post up since it got removed, and I know some people still wanted to see an update, gotten lots of DMs, and also people following me. I didn't know where else to put it other than if I make the original here, then put an update later, now that I've talked to him. Hey all, it's been a few days, and I wanted to make an update on this post on relationships. The text got removed so you can read it here if you didn't see it. I read almost all of your comments, both positive and negative, and it was truly a mixed bag. A few people were saying that I was a narcissist who needed therapy. Some people were saying the complete opposite, that it was Andrew who needed therapy. And finally, a lot of people had genuinely thoughtful and insightful advice, albeit opposing advice. Ultimately, I decided to do what felt right. Minimum. I know I came across as toxic toward the end, so I am sorry about that. I'd gotten really defensive after everyone reached the same conclusion. And at first, I didn't want to accept it. But that's no excuse. Thanks to those of you who took the time to advise me. I appreciate it. Rich months to the update. Though I blocked Andrew, we share some friends, and they told me he desperately wanted to get in contact with me, but he would respect my wishes if I said no. I decided I would hear him out. I reasoned he's done wrong, but if he sets boundaries with Eddie and reaffirms his commitment to the relationship, we can work through it. If not, we are done. I felt it would be childish to ghost him without having an adult discussion about our relationship. We met up, and he looked sort of nervous when normally he's self-assured. So this immediately ticked me off as something being wrong. I started off by telling him that I was unhappy he constantly chose Eddie over me and didn't seem to care about my feelings. Admittedly, I haven't been the best communicator myself, instead reverting to anger. So I apologized for that as well. He swore he didn't know that I don't like the beach. And if he had known, he wouldn't have suggested we go. So there's that. I said we could still make this work if the both of us were willing to put in the effort, and he had a discussion with Eddie about what's appropriate for a friendship. Well, that isn't going to happen. He told me that he's so sorry that he led me on for 2 years, but can't in good conscience stay in a relationship with me any longer when Eddie still needs him. despite the writing basically being on the wall. I wanted to confirm for certain, is he in love with Eddie? The answer is complicated. For context, Andrew is an extremely helpful person, the type of guy willing to give you the shirt off his back if you need it. This is especially apparent with Eddie. I had a suspicion that Eddie has some sort of mental illness, but I didn't know the extent until Andrew shared that Eddie's very depressed and has attempted in the past. It was actually Andrew who stopped him before it got to that point, and Andrew has felt this obsessive need to protect and care for him since. In Andrew's words, Eddie's very fragile and needs him. He swears up and down that nothing romantic has ever happened with them, whether that be kissing or anything more, which I believe. Still, Eddie is the most important person in his life and will always be, according to him. When we got into a relationship, he'd apparently convinced himself that he could have two most important people, but that isn't the case, and he only just realized now, the years down the line. I asked him what will happen when he wants his own family, and he said that he won't marry anyone or have kids because it won't be fair to anyone involved, despite saying how much he wanted a family in the past. I suppose that was a lie, or maybe he only wants a family with Eddie. So yeah, Andrew was so obsessed with / dependent on Eddie that he's sacrificing the chance to have a family because of it. And to answer the question of whether he's in love with Eddie, he says he is straight, but he's never felt anything like when he's around Eddie. Though now that I write this, I think that it just could be because they have a codependent relationship. I'm not fully convinced he's in love with Eddie in the romantic way, but rather he loves Eddie so much that he will do anything for him. Then again, I might be wrong. To me, this is super unhealthy, but it's not my problem anymore. He told me that he was really sorry and he hates that he did this to me. He seemed genuinely torn up about it too. But that's not changing the fact that 2 years of my life are wasted. I'm a 32-year-old woman who dreams of having a huge family. Yet I don't have a partner and I'm in no shape to get one anytime soon. Sure, I'm still relatively young, but time is ticking. He promised he'd set me up with someone, as if that's going to make up for this. I doubt he'll do it anyway since all he cares about is Eddie, or at least that's what it looks like. You probably think I sound so salty and angry right now. Well, it's because I'm salty and angry. I don't have it in me to have a positive outlook right now. I know I should move on and stop feeding into my anger toward him. But it's only been 2 days, so I'm not about to do that anytime soon. Thanks again to those who dealt with my BS in the comments. I know how infuriating it must have been, because rereading them, I too feel annoyed at my past self. Story 2. I just found out my fiancé, who I've been with for 5 years, was a monster in high school. I'm meaning to type this fast, excuse the grammar. He's back for lunch, and I don't know him to know anything yet. Okay, guys. So, I, a 25-year-old female, met my fiancé, a 27-year-old male, 5 years ago. I thought he was perfect. He's handsome, kind, funny, and has a stable job as a cop. He's treated me so well since we met. He stopped me for speeding, ended up with my number. Everything was going so well. Looking back now, I should have seen the red flags, like his family and old friends joking about his temper and his high school bad boy days. And now I'm questioning, did my cat really run away? Or did he make him? I'm babbling, so here, what happened? We had an engagement party in his hometown a few days ago, and I got a Facebook message not long after, warning me about my fiancé. He was this monster in high school. So I thought, allow, this is someone trolling. But then as the day went on, 5 more people messaged me, one being his cousin. I asked his cousin for proof because in my naive head, I thought this was a joke, because my fiancé is an amazing person. He's a cop, for God's sake. And his cousin told me, give him a few hours. Well, about 2 hours ago, my world turned upside down. I was added to a group chat with a lot of proof. I've seen videos, heard stories, and seen screenshots. Even a memorial page of one of his victims who committed suicide at 16. Guys, this was horror movie level stuff. Threats, assault both physically and sexually, lots of misogyny and homophobia. Even one of him harming a person's dog while the kids screamed as my fiancé laughed. He looked about 18 in the video. The stories I heard both broke my heart and scared me, and I don't know what to do. Maybe he has changed. Should I confront him? Should I give him a chance to tell his side? Okay, so I'll give more information now. And alone, I spoke to his cousin and I asked, why didn't they ever do anything since they have videos? He said, you haven't thought we tried years ago. Life isn't a fairy tale. The bad guy doesn't always face justice. your future in-laws and fiancé made sure everything always went away. And then I asked, why now? Tell me. He was honest, they, him, and other victims wanted to warn me out of both concern, but mostly revenge because how dare he have a happy life after what he did to them. Did he know if my fiancé gay ever did anything like anger management or therapy after high school? He said he did, and I asked if he thought my fiancé changed. He said, well, he isn't like his high school self anymore. People like him never truly change. I asked him if I decided to leave, and would he help me? He said he would, but we would need to make a plan that can't lead back to him for his safety. Okay, I'll answer some things that y'all keep bringing up. I can't 100 say he harmed my cat because my cat liked to escape and wander the neighborhood. People keep asking me why I didn't see any red flags in 5 years. I didn't notice them at the time. As for how we got together, people keep pointing out that was a red flag. Well, I'm gonna be real here. For at the time, I thought I was hot stuff because I talked my way out of a ticket, and he is really handsome. So I thought in my nine-headed it would be a cute story to tell our grandkids one day. I'm from a country where people don't fear cops like they do in America. Guys, he knows about the post. He just sent me this and said, we need to talk. I'm okay. My legs hurt from running, but I'm at a safe place with a trusted person, and I've talked to my fiancé by phone. I'll update later on our conversation and his side, because as of now, I don't want it to give out much information that leads to my whereabouts. But I will tell everyone how he found the post. I was too stupid not to change details, so someone we knew reconsidered it and sent him the post. I also found my passport, which in my panic, I forgot I moved when I was reorganized a few weeks ago, and he also admitted to giving my cat to a coworker, which until I see proof, I don't believe it. There's other stuff,